Hello everybody and welcome back to the chassis variant series of myself, Critical Rocket. Now don't be confused either for two reasons. One, when this video is brand new, it's the fact that I'm doing a little bit of housekeeping with catching up with some variants of certain mechs that I didn't have access to canon variants of, such as this Blackjack 2. And if you're watching this in the playlist, there may be some new tech that suddenly appears. Yes, it is. This has been done a little bit later and added into the Blackjack section, but don't worry, there's not much that's different about the actual build. That's still very much grounded in the lostech area of things, so like the 3050s. And speaking of which, the Blackjack 2 was a modification of the standard Blackjack in 3052 that added 2 ER large lasers and a quad setup of Streak SRM2s. This was created by the Federated Commonwealth using some of this rediscovered technology as a means of creating a mech that could very quickly and easily engage targets at close range and also engage targets at extreme ranges. So as that, it is an extreme mech in both regards. Very effective, but also quite hot. One of the main problems was the 2 ER large lasers do generate a lot of heat. Even with doubles, the mech does tend to have trouble. It was jump capable, which meant it still worked in its urban environment setting, as you have to bear in mind that the Blackjack was actually built to engage targets in urban settings rather than open ground settings. It's one of many mechs that were built for the purposes of jumping between and on top of buildings and using its weaponry, and then quickly dropping down back into cover, making it very difficult for larger, slower mechs to engage it at close range anyway. So with that being lost, obviously, in MechWarrior Online, not having any kind of traps yet, the Blackjack has always been slightly maligned. You do see the Arrow every now and then, the hero mech, but you don't really see many Blackjacks running around on the field. So, in the MechWarrior Online stakes, this is one of the more unique aspects. The reason you would want to pick up a Blackjack 2 is its missile load points. It's the only version to come with them. It has 4 in total, 2 in each side torso, and only 2 energy hardpoints. So the main reason you're going to be picking up is that you get a missile mech. Now obviously, in today's MechWarrior world, with the Civil War technologies being added, you do have a few more extra options than this originally came with when it was added. Rather than the Streak 2s, you can upgrade now to Streak 4s and 6s if you want to stick with that. You've also got MRMs, you've got rocket launchers, you know, you've got a few more options available to you. How this would work with any setup like that is entirely up to you to determine. I feel that with the 2 energy hardpoints, you could probably come up with something quite interesting actually. A couple of light PPCs and maybe some rocket launchers, so keep at range, and anything that does decide to get too close, they get rocketed in the face. Obviously, sticking with the streak angle, you can make it a nasty little light hunter. You can have LRMs, the different ideas really that come out of it. Probably its biggest drawback though is the fact that it's 45 ton, and that means it exists weight tonnage that people don't necessarily feel worth it. I've found with MechWarrior Online, because of the nature of the game being very DPS, arena-based, time to kill, survivability and all that, 45 ton isn't quite as desirable as the likes of 40 ton or 50 to 55 ton. So it doesn't have that speedage of the 40 tonners, such as the Cicada and other mechs like that, and it doesn't have the armour and weapon variety that the 50 and 55 tonners can bring, so 45 ton exists in a kind of limbo. As such, that's one of the main reasons the Blackjack and mechs like the Phoenix Hawk and the Vindicator and stuff are kind of left out in the cold, unfortunately. They don't get as much attention as they should. Despite the fact there are some very good builds in the 45 ton category, it's just a majority of players are just really going to give them a wide berth or just write them off entirely. I feel it's a shame. Personally, I do like this variant, though, as I mentioned, it's extremely hot. Even with the default heat sinks and any kind of modifications you can come up with, it's still going to struggle on the old heat scale. I think this version put a light fusion engine in, or something to that degree, something that would allow me to get a little bit of extra weight in there so I could stinks in, and even on a cold map it still has a tendency to just warm up like it's been in an oven for 2 hours. It's ridiculous. Its potential is there though, the ability for it to stay at very long range and hit targets with its ER larges before anything decides to get too close, that you can just spam streak 2s at them, makes it really good. A few matches that I've done since recording this video, I've had just great fun sticking with the heavies and the assaults and just sort of picking at their targets, at things that they're firing at, with sort of chain fired ER larges, and then when things do want to get too close, you can just start spamming those streaks and just ratcheting up the damage very quickly. You don't have to worry too much about heat as long as you're using one or the other. If you use both, the heat does tend to get on top of you very quickly, and that is one of the reasons the mech really struggles to dissipate that waste heat. And for that reason, I would probably not recommend running it in the default setup. I think unfortunately it suffers from the old heat scale kicking in ghost heat, as Russ won't call it. So yeah. However, it is an interesting build. It's a fun build. I do like it. Next to the Blackjack, I think it's 3 that I've also got with the PPCs. I'll definitely keep this one in the lineup. When I need to bring a mech that is quite light, but I want something that's a bit different, this is definitely one of the mechs I'd choose first. So yeah, I'll definitely give that a recommendation. If you haven't tried it, give it a go. So yeah, this finishes off the Blackjacks within the series, unless they bring in some later variants. Who knows with PGI? I doubt they will. It will be interesting to see whether the new tech has been considered for future variants that came about due to the new tech upgrades. There's plenty of mechs to get them in the existing lineup. It's just a case of whether they want to do that as a free update or whether they want to monetize it. If they monetize it, I can't begrudge them wanting to make money, but they'll have to be buying for real cash extra variants of the existing mechs, especially with some of them you can just make out of the existing variants in the game, though it is a bit tough. For example, there's a really nice assassin variant that has ballistics, and unfortunately there are no assassins that currently exist in the game that have them, but there is one that uses new tech, LB5, with medium laser, and I think a streak 4 or something like that. I was really interested in trying that build out, but unfortunately I can't, because yeah, no ballistic models available of the assassin. And you know, I think I haven't really specifically looked at Blackjacks, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is another new tech version of the Blackjack that exists, probably something that uses rotaries, being the standard Blackjack usually comes with ballistics. So, yeah, looking at it, the round looks like it's coming to an end. There's just this supernova here that needs to be cleaned up, and yeah, he's been cleaned up now. Now it was just where we were just capturing the base, and their last mech, which I believe is a Wolfhound, is just over at our base, and now we're just taking pot shots at him the whole time, and he's just wiggling left and right trying to avoid the fire. So that's pretty much the end of that vid. Thank you very much everyone for joining me. I hope you all have a good week, and I will see you on the next chassis variant video. Have a good one, folks. Bye bye.
Enemy base is being captured. Base is being captured. Enemy base is being captured.